5 and 5. Hey, we are here live. What's up? Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of The Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. That's the name of the show. That's right. I'm your host. I'm one of your hosts, Mouzon. I got Kobi here with me. Say what's up, Kobi.
What up, though?
As always, shout out to Detroit, right?
Shout out to the Detroit. Yeah.
Isn't that the Pistons chant? Detroit Pistons. I feel like it might
Detroit basketball.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yeah, it's funny too because I don't really like Detroit basketball either. The Lions are tough.
This is crazy.
Hey man, I pick a team and I stick to them. You know. And if you gotta help me pick a different team if you don't like them, you know what I'm saying? I need a reason to switch to another team, and if it's good enough, I'll switch. You know,
well, jump on this Philly bandwagon, bro. Shout out to the Phillies going to the World Series.
You can miss me with Philly, the city, Philly, the county, Philly, the baseball team, Philly, the football team,
undefeated.
You can miss me with Philly. Yeah, you guys really are doing good, actually.
Yes, we are.
Philly football is good. Philly baseball is good. Mm-hmm. Philly basketball, maybe one day will be good again.
Just let us work out the kinks a little bit. Let us work out the kinks. It's early in the season.
It might take some time.
Yeah, you never know, right? Just let the guys gel a little bit. But yes, Phillies baseball World Series. Here we come.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Represent the city, but haven't been
Y'all
to.
Don't have much else, so
shut up. Listen, good things are happening in the city, right? Good things are coming. We're about to get this World Series title. That's going to be awesome. It's funny. I only really tap into sports when important stuff happens, like playoffs and championships and things like that. Otherwise, I'm just too busy. But tried to get some World Series tickets as soon as I saw it happen. Guess the price.
2022 World Series. Any particular role?
Nope. I'll give you an over under 1,000 for the cheapest ticket.
I'm gonna still go over.
Yeah, man. 1,400 cheapest ticket.
Cheapest ticket.
1,400.
Oh,
stop it. Yeah, I was like, all right. I don't think I will be doing this.
I will say though, I do have a baseball team.
Padres, San Diego
Padres. How'd you know?
I don't know. You just look like a Padres guy.
I don't know whether to be offended or not.
You're already living that SoCal life, that Southern California life. So
that's right. West Side.
I guessed it, but yeah, I don't know what the Padres just lost too, right? Like feel like they just
no, really?
No, I feel like they just lost. They just lost to the Houston Astros. That's why they're not in the World Series.
Wait, I thought the Houston Astros beat the Yankees.
I don't know. I told you I don't really watch baseball. I just rep the city. So shout out to the Phils again. But I'm pretty sure they were. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna get on here, and this is recorded.
Oh, the Phillies beat the Padres.
We beat them. That's right. Yeah, I knew I saw them at some point in the news. They were losing.
No.
That's the whole episode right there. Phillies beat the Padres. My team versus your team.
Oh man, that's heartbreaking.
It's okay, man.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, that's it. Ash, you could pretty much caption. Phillies go to the World Series, and they probably cheated.
You would say that. And could be.
I mean, that's a very Philly thing to do.
Oh, get out of here with that. We are upstanding citizens, city of brotherly love. We love it. We love all. We don't cheat.
All right. If that helps you guys sleep at night, I'm okay with it. Let's go.
Oh, it does. Let's get into the show today because want to talk a little bit about what's happening out there in this side of travel. Since we're talking about these different cities, Kabi is always repping Detroit, even though he's never been and actually still doesn't know anybody in Detroit except for his uncle Jalen Rose.
Jalen.
Outside of him, he actually knows no one in that from that city or in that city.
Right. You're right. Actually, you're right.
I know, I know. But still one of those cities that maybe one day he travels to, one day we get out
Right.
and fly around and get there, get to
Right.
experience, maybe get to see Jalen Rose's school or something like that. I don't know what you
That's
want to
right.
do.
That's right. Listen, I'm gonna get some Detroit gear. I'm gonna get some Detroit gear.
You need it.
I'm gonna get some Detroit gear. I'm gonna get Jalen Rose Leadership Academy shirt. I'm gonna make a donation.
Make a
You know,
donation. Support
yeah,
him. Support
support
him and the kids and the
and the
city.
kids. I do it for the kids. I'm all about the kids.
It's all about the kids, man. That's what it's
Yeah.
about. But today's show is about travel, just travel in general in the United States, like specifically like domestic travel. Like you live in Southern California and it's time for the family to take a vacay. Where are you going? Most importantly, how much you spending?
Whew.
How much you spending to get the plane tickets, to get some lodging, get the Airbnb or the hotel, rent a car, go out and eat, buy meals. How much are you spending? And the reason why we wanted to have this conversation is because we were talking about it a bit, like kind of off camera, that like things have definitely jumped up over the past couple years. I'm sure everyone knows with inflation and obviously cost of goods and things definitely do go up over time, but the spike in specifically travel and the things around travel has been a lot to say the least, right? It's made a
Offensive.
offensive, great word. That's exactly what it's been. And we didn't know if y'all were feeling the same thing, so we wanted to talk about it here on the Good Life, talk about, what does this look like? What does this look like and what does this mean for us as people that want to travel, that want to be able to experience life and design the life that we want? And how is this really breaking the bank? Is this really going to be smart? I made a comment, I think it might have been on a previous episode, it might have been to somebody else, where I said, oh, I believe that it's about to become a luxury to travel. Right? If we go back to 2020, we go back to pre-pandemic or even right in the pandemic, because they were trying to get people to kind of travel and do things things were very cheap. It was common to travel. It was common to pick up a airfare and fly to Mexico and not break the bank. It was actually relatively cheap. But now if you look at now 2022 heading into 2023, it's going to be a luxury to travel. Like you have to really set things aside, shift your finances potentially, really evaluate whether or not this is going to be the smartest financial move for you and maybe your family to vacation for a week. So we wanted to dive into some of the costs and like how things have jumped up. What have you been seeing? Because funny enough, you just hopped on a plane, didn't you, Kabi?
I did. So hopped on the plane twice in the last few weeks to Austin, the East Coast, as well. And been seeing, man, some crazy numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not just, it's kind of like things that are nibbling at your feet, right? So it's not, there, you know what? It's both. I was gonna say it's kind of like things nibbling at your feet instead of being smacked on the head with a hammer,
No,
but you're being smacked on the head with a hammer with an increase in things like airfare, and you're being nibbled at the feet with an increase in things like dining out, with an increase in things like buying souvenirs, increase in things like that, or even going out if you're the type that likes to go out for, go to a new city, enjoy the food, enjoy the drinks, buy a little trinket for the kids. Now you might have to put the kids to work to be able to afford half of that. You know what I mean? Junior might have to start driving Uber, and we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll put some numbers to it, and you guys let us know, are you seeing the same thing on your end? Now you say travel be a luxury. Chris, I'll say this, man. I think it's more than, I think it was already a luxury. Now it's becoming a luxury for those for those that typically will not even think about it, right?
Sure.
So I think it's going in a whole new category, and I'm not sure that we are even in the middle of it. I think we're just in the beginning of it. All right.
Mm,
So let's start breaking it down, man. Let's start breaking it. Let's take it category by category. So
yeah, we
what we
got some
did here,
stats. So we got some
stats.
stats.
Gotta put some numbers to it. Gotta
That's
put
right.
some numbers. It's not real unless you put some numbers to it. Nerd Wallet looked at the cost of common travel expenses over the last 10 years using the Consumer Price Index data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And they looked at things like airfare, travel and lodging, rental cars, dining out, and entertainment, like going out to the movies and concerts, etc.
Hmm.
Things, honestly, things that you might do just at home, all right,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
staycation that people aren't doing anymore. And man, I have going to the movies, not worth it. Nobody's doing that anymore.
I
All
don't
right.
even know how movies like I don't even know how movies are still like a thing, in all
Yeah.
honesty. Like I don't know who's doing that.
The economics of that. Before we jump to airfare, which would be the most logical place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Howard, like I know A&MC, like I don't know what the parent company is, but I know they're losing money like crazy, right?
Regal, AMC. There's probably only like four major chains now of movie theaters, but like I can't see how outside of a one-time thing, right? If you think back 15 years ago, it was a common thing to go to a movie. Like you might
Yeah,
go to the movies twice in a week,
yeah,
potentially twice on a weekend, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
you might hit a
yeah.
morning show and an
Pay
evening
for one
show.
and sneak into the other, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've all done it. My
We don't
my wife,
condone these
we
behaviors.
don't condone it. And I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus because she's not watching or listening, but she's a pro at that. She was a four movie all day, babe. I'm taking the day. Like I'm gonna hit four. I'm gonna pay for one and hit four and time it out. But either way, right? Like that was back in the day. She's changed her ways. But that was for real. Like people used to spend all day at the movies. People used to see all types of things. I mean, even the industry would put out things and you would look forward to seeing it. Now, what do you look forward to seeing in a movie theater?
Nothing.
Why would you pay? What's a ticket now? Do you know what a ticket is for a movie?
Ticket is heavy, man. Ticket is like I want to say 15, $20.
Yeah.
More than that, really, right? I mean,
I was gonna say between the 12 to 18 range, I feel like for a ticket, but that's like one. So imagine you go on a date, that's $30. That's 25 to $30 just for the tickets.
yeah.
Popcorn's up, right? Snacks are high. Like you
You're
spend
probably
the
looking at 17, $18 for an adult.
yeah. Yeah. So that's 36 something dollars for two. You bring some kids out, that's 50 something dollars for a tick just for the tickets. Well, then you got snacks. Spending a
Yeah,
hundred, you spending $175 to go to the movie theater to see what? The
easy.
same thing you could watch at your house. That's
Yeah,
probably of
yeah.
better quality or more of what you want to see. So
Better
yeah.
quality. I mean, and quite frankly, to be very honest, I remember the last time my wife and I went to the movies, it was extremely disappointing. Right? The movie was garbage. I don't remember what it was. It was terrible. And it was supposed to be the best thing out. The popcorn was mediocre at best.
Hmm.
The drinks were like okay. The seats were a little uncomfortable. The theater was cold. It was too loud. It was a little too bright. I'm sitting there like, what is this? What did out of obligation, we finished the movie, but I felt like I was being punished.
Hmm.
I felt like I was being punished. But yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense anymore. You've got so many options to watch movies at home. Save so much money. Honestly, saves a little bit of time.
Hmm.
If you're a popcorn person, you could probably make better popcorn at home, and you can. For your health, this is your health tip of the day. Please stay away from that popcorn and popcorn butter at the movie theaters. Goodness gracious, stay away from that if you can.
Is it even
Um,
butter? That's not even butter.
no,
It's
I don't know what it is. It's some yellow liquidy substance
yeah.
that they put on there. It's not the best. And then on top of that, for me, this is what I do instead, which is I don't know if it's worse or not. It might be, but because I don't really like popcorn, nor do I like popcorn butter, etc. I'll just get some drink and some candy.
Mm.
All right. So I go on the sugar side. You guys
Mm.
know I'm a recovering carboholic high, you
Hello.
know. So I go on the sugar side and it's so little, it doesn't last.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It doesn't last. And then you're chowing down. By the time you're done, yeah, man, you're right around $100. You're right around $100. The movie probably wasn't that good because I swear they're not making good movies in the theaters
Yeah.
anymore. And yeah, not sure it's worth it. Let us
Yeah.
pull a poll out. Ash, let's put a poll out. When have you been to a movie in the last, let's say what, 2 months?
Let's put it at 3 months. Let's give them the
Three
benefit of the
months.
doubt, right? Towards the end of the summer, right? Give them three
Or when
months.
was the last time you saw a movie? A month
Yeah,
ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Like, let's see. Let's see. I would love to see when the last time people actually went through the movie theaters.
that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
And then let's follow up. Did you buy popcorn or candy? Yes or no?
Most people just sneak in their food, bro. You know that's the way it goes. Like you
I
just
don't want
bring
to
your love.
assume we've got a bunch of degenerates for listeners and viewers, bro.
Listen,
I have more faith in them than that.
I
And
feel like that's the standard. The standard is I'm gonna go to my local grocery store and buy the big bag of candy, and it's gonna go into my wife's purse. And we are walking in and we are eating the entire bag. If we're gonna do the candy, it's tough to do the popcorn thing, right? Like, cause it's popcorn. But the candy side, anything that's in a bag, like, come on, no, nobody's buying candy anymore. Nobody, nobody, nobody.
sneak it. You the person sneaking in a burger in your wife's purse?
Possibly, possibly.
Oh no! All right, let's put that poll out. I'd love to see it, but let's get to airfare, man, and not just before we actually get to airfare. What I think is really interesting is that we're looking at airfare, but everybody knows that travel has gone up.
Right.
All we've been talking about for I don't know how long now is gas prices.
Hmm.
Whether you're on the East Coast, you guys are lucky. In the South, you're even luckier. In the West, we are struggling. I
Hmm.
saw 738 the other day, and I was like, "Yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did." And I was like, "What is going on? What is going on?"
I really believe your President Biden just put out a tweet talking about gas prices normalizing and stabilizing and saying that we're headed in the right direction. So
Did did
this is recent. This is
did, uh, uh, did you just say you're President Biden, sir? All right, fair enough. Um, I am America. I do love America. America. So I respect those in power, and I will not speak disparagingly of anyone in power, any groups, individuals, because I've seen what y'all do to Kanye. Let's move on. Yeah.
but for real, he did just tweet out like about gas prices coming down and being more stable in the country. But I don't think that's the
How?
truth. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's the truth at all. I don't know what like where they're getting the average price, but considering you said you saw seven something recently,
Oh yeah, that was
we're
like
we're close to $4 on my end, right? Like it's like 398, 390 something, right? Around my area. So I remember that's not the two the 260 something I remember. So either way, we digress.
crazy.
Dive
It's
in.
absolutely crazy. But what may not be as obvious because most people drive, but not everybody will take a flight. Is the cost of flying? Now I
Mm,
live on the East Coast, West Coast. I have family on the East Coast. Making a trip out here to see family is becoming such a big deal, and that's not even necessarily vacation like the traditional vacation that you might imagine. It's my airfare has almost doubled,
yeah.
right? Personally, but on average, according to NerdWallet's data, the average American leisure budget um, for 2022 is $3,797. Now, what we really want to find is airfare, right? The average airfare in May 2022 was 19% higher than the previous month and 38% higher than May 2021.
Wow. So
right?
literally, like you said, almost double, right? Like
Almost double.
50% increase almost. Like
That's a big deal.
it's
So if
huge.
I was paying somewhere around four, just short of 400, everything included, I'm paying just short of 800, everything included, to take the same flight.
That
That's a
is,
big deal.
it's a huge deal, dude. How much do you
Y-
think this is affecting people's decision? That's the question. How much do you think this is affecting people's decision to actually travel?
Well, nobody cares what I think. What we want to know is it affecting your decision, right? So if you're watching it, is it affecting your decision to take a trip? Now, how is it affecting my decision? I'm taking fewer trips.
Yeah.
I'm taking fewer trips. I'm only hitting the important ones, and I'm trying to book months and months in advance, which, by the way, hasn't made a difference at all.
Mm,
Uh, at all. I booked. I mean, I think the most I could book is like six months in advance.
yeah.
I booked Christmas 6 months in advance. That
That's
was exactly double, not just short of double. That was exactly double of what I
jeez.
remember the last Christmas, and that was 2021 was. So, I hope this is just a move to get what they lost during COVID. And then once they have recouped, they will recover and come back with reasonable prices. But something tells me that is not the case.
Yeah, I don't
And
think.
once they raise them, they're not coming back.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think they have too much cost to make up. The cost of everything is still going up. It, like I said before, it's just going to become a luxury to do that. And what I see from a financial standpoint, having conversations with people, is they are really adjusting their budgets and adjusting their lifestyle if they have to travel. If they do not have to go see their family or travel or do something like that, they are literally contemplating saying, I'm gonna sit this year out, right? I'm like, this is not the year I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna, wait till these prices potentially come down. But again, I don't know that that's gonna happen because I feel like there's too, like, the airline industry lost
Yeah.
a lot of money, right? Like they have to make it up somehow. Flights are, or like again, gas prices, right? All that type of stuff, labor, like they're making up so much that I don't know that these prices will come down. But just that jump of 40 plus percent, or no, almost 40% in a year, not 19% month over month, right? Like month over month, like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
19%
wild.
month over month. Yeah. That's pretty insane.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. 20%. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't travel. Like I really don't travel. Like this stuff doesn't affect me as much, but I see it affecting a lot of people because me and my wife, we just choose not to travel that much, right? Like it's not for us right now, especially with these prices the way they are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. The trips that we've taken have been ones that have been in the works for over a year.
Yeah.
So there's another way that it's affected when everything has to be well planned out. And you live near family, I don't, so it's a little difficult to say you're gonna go 1, 2, 3 years without seeing family, at
Sure.
least for the holidays. So
Sure.
I think that's where it's gonna really hit people if you don't live near family, where you can, quite frankly, where you can walk apparently because gas is high. Trains are high. Airfares are definitely high. It becomes a real decision, a real discussion between husband and wife, husband and husband, wife and wife. We do not discriminate here on the show.
Keep it PC, brother.
With that said, um, yeah, another category that we're taking a look at here is lodging. Because
Mm,
once you get there, whether you walk, drive, or fly, once you get there, now, unless you're staying with friends and family, which you still might be need to throw them a little something for groceries, um, you got to figure out where you're staying.
right.
So, interesting stat for us here is that in December 2022, the average hotel prices dropped to their lowest levels since December 2013. Now we know that's because of COVID.
Mm,
Um, and just 7 months later, in July 2021, prices increased 47% to the highest levels in the consumer price index.
What? Read that stat again.
So in December 2020, prices decreased to the lowest since like 7 years ago, 2013,
Okay.
right? And then 7 months later, in July 2021, they increased to 47%, making it the highest levels ever in the consumer price index.
My gosh. Look at that swing.
That's some serious whiplash.
That just priced a ton of people out too. Right? Imagine looking at something to right. This is lodging we're talking about, right? So look at that hotel price. Look at I don't know if this takes into account any of the like Airbnb type stuff, but probably just motel, hotel, and all of
Holiday
us.
Inn.
Let's see what you did there. Uh, but yes, let's if we take a look at those things and imagine, damn near again 50% jumping up in a 7 month window. You're about to book something in March in January, and then July comes around and it's 50% more than what you had expected just because you waited. That is some serious changes. And again, the question is like, does this affect how you would think about your lodging? If you see, I kind of liken this to the stock market, the whole, buy low, sell high, what people do, right? Most people try to do, but actually the other side happens, right? Where they're buying high and selling low because they're panicking and scared. In this side of like lodging and looking at the price 6 months prior, and they're like, ooh, that's a good deal, but I'm gonna wait. Right, I'm gonna wait until maybe it goes down a little bit more, and then that thing jacks up and you're like, I gotta get this before it goes higher, and you're actually buying at the highest.
yeah,
I I
yeah.
I'm curious. I don't think it stopped people from booking the hotels, even though it was probably this huge swing, because that's how people operate. Like they normally buy things at the wrong time, and this is probably just another example of that. But I'd be curious to see it in like real data.
As to the people making that, yeah, I'll be curious to see that as well. I bet that did happen because it's
Hmm.
like, oh, it's gonna keep going higher. We might as well buy it now. And I mean, 7 months is a long time for a lot of people to make some bad decisions.
Totally.
And I'm sure there were some tough conversations that needed to be had where, if traditionally speaking is something like that, it's like, do we really need to go see grandma this year? And mom is like, why are you being so stingy? Don't you have a soul? We got to go see grandma. Right. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. And then they go ahead and they book at month like 5. Right.
Right. Exactly.
So we're seeing a lot of that. And on top of that, we talked about travel, airfare, etc. But once you get there, or to get there, a lot of people will need some sort of transportation,
Hmm.
right? A lot of these cities are not, Ubers have gone up significantly. And if you're staying there long enough, Ubers might not cut it. So you're looking at rental cars. Rental cars. Rental cars have had one of the biggest price increases of all the categories we're looking at today. So price hit an all-time high in July 2021. Because think about it, people were, they felt better grabbing a rental car and driving to maybe the countryside or an isolated place where they could be away from people, and not being in planes, not being in crowded situations. But now, while they've slightly recovered since July 2021, when they were at their highest, as of May 2022, they're still around 70% more expensive than they were in May 2019. So not that long ago. So since May 2019, they've jumped up 70% rental cars.
That's just wild. I hope people are hearing these statistics. That's just wild. Something goes up 70%
70.
over a matter of 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Again,
May 2019.
like I
Yeah.
said,
Two.
it's becoming a luxury. It's becoming a luxury for people to do this. Like you really
Yeah.
have think of all of these expenses. Is it really worth it? If something goes up 70% in a matter of a few years, is it still worth doing it? And if you can't travel and get to another city without having to Uber, rent a car, all that type of stuff, then shouldn't you be paying attention to or questioning whether or not traveling is even for you right now? I really think it's a question you have to start to ask yourself instead of just incurring more of these costs. I feel like I don't have the article in front of me, but there's something in the holiday section of like holiday travel, which is coming up. There's something in there talking about how again people are putting this type of stuff on credit cards, right?
Yeah.
Putting their holiday travel on credit cards. Are you willing to say, you know what? I'll suck it up. I'll pay 70% more than 3 years ago for this
Oh yeah.
car just to, right, then rack up some extra debt for what? Like you said, I mean, there's might be some leisure to or some leniency because you have to see family, but like in all honesty, is it worth it? That's what we're trying to figure out. Is it
To
worth it?
your point, see, Mouzon, 74.9 million Americans plan to put some or all of their 2022 holiday travel expenses on a credit card.
It hurts my heart as a financial professional, right? Hurts my heart
But
because
bro, come on, we'll pay it off really quickly.
oh yeah, of course you will. As soon as you lose that job in January because friggin' right, we're heading into a recession. If again,
Nothing will happen. Only $3.3 billion of interest will accrue on anticipated holiday travel costs, assuming travelers take an average of 3 months to pay them off.
it's great. Like, how are people able to justify this? How do you justify this? The travel, adding up all of these expenses, putting
You want
it
to know
on
how?
credit card. Yeah, tell me how.
We got to see grandma, right? The same reason that we're using a couple of months ago to make people do things they didn't want to do. What? Oh, come on. We don't want to
We
go
come on. We are not trying to be canceled out here.
there.
Yay.
We
Calm
got to
down.
go see grandma. That's exactly what's going on. It's all about, yeah, that's it. It's heart
Mm.
tugging. Not everyone is as heartless as you, sir. They
It's
have to
not.
go
It's
and
not heartless. It's not heartless. But when does tradition take a backseat to logic? To like just like actual like this does not make fiscal sense. This does not make logical sense. Why would we pay all of this money? When does tradition take a back seat? Because again, people might not have liked this in the pandemic, but like we figured out how to see people and communicate without actually going to see them physically.
yeah.
We figured that
Well,
out.
we did mention a few other ways that people are trying to mitigate, which probably doesn't add up. But the few other ways, spending less on planning to spend the rather drive, right? So
Mhm.
taking flights rather than driving because we saw rental costs and fuel costs have skyrocketed. Travelers planning to reduce everyday spending,
Mhm.
right, to save up 36% of travelers. 27% of travelers plan to spend less on holiday gifts in order to save money for upcoming holiday travel
I
expenses.
hope that's true. I like that's a positive sign. Anytime we could be less of consumers and buy less gifts and things like that over the experience, like to have an experience with grandma, right? Like then sure, that might make sense. But if you don't adjust your lifestyle, adjust your spending, this travel conversation will actually put you back in debt. It'll put you in a worse financial position. And as a financial professional, that's really why this conversation is important to me, is because I see it happen all the time that we put ourselves in bad financial positions just because of things that we might want right now, traditions, societal norms, those types of things, right? We put ourselves in bad financial positions, and I think we just have to evaluate it. Is this really beneficial for us right now? Is this really where we're going to spend our money? uh, on this travel side, and just all the stats and things like that don't add up, man. They don't add up.
But we gotta see grandma.
That's all you got, huh? That's all you got.
Uh, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. You know. But let's look at another key statistic here. We talked about airfare, travel, rental cars, and now let's talk about like dining out, right? Dining out and food. And I think without even travel, I think a lot of people are suffering from this right now. Shoot,
Mm-hmm.
I'll put myself in that box.
Mm-hmm.
Going to get anything out in on the SoCal, as you know, sir,
Mm-hmm.
it's an arm and a leg, right?
And your first child.
And your first child, you know, just in case your card bounces.
Yeah, it's a lot. Not to mention the grocery store side.
Absolutely,
We're gonna talk about dining out, but I know a lot of people are feeling it in their grocery budget
grocery
also.
side, yeah. So it's getting everybody. This is not just for travel; it's getting everybody. And in fact, in May 2022, the cost of food away from home is up nearly 7% versus May 2021 and about 15% versus May 2019. Wow.
Yeah,
Now you
it's happening.
mentioned groceries, man. Groceries have risen over 13%, rose over 13% in July compared to a year ago.
Hmm.
13% year over year. And I think it's a lot more than that
I think so
because,
too.
yeah, I would be curious how they're measuring these.
We're gonna have an episode on this coming up at some point around kind of the food system and
Yeah,
right
dive
how
a lot
we
down.
yeah how we get our food. So we're gonna dive deeper into this type of stuff. But you're gonna see you're gonna see prices of food skyrocket continuously because of what's happening with farms, what's happening in our um, with our water.
Fuel,
What you say?
fuel,
Yep,
fuel,
that's fuel.
transporting the food.
All of it, right? You're gonna see crazy skyrockets in the food. So we're gonna dive into an episode where we're gonna talk about it a bit more because it's probably
Yeah,
gonna be beneficial that we start learning how to grow food. If you don't know how to grow your own food, right, it's probably gonna be a skill set you're gonna want to pick up very very soon, so that
very
the
soon.
grocery stores don't price you out from eating good stuff.
So to put it into a little bit more context, the numbers that I just put out, the 13% in a year and 7% in restaurant growth, or in prices of restaurants over the same time period, it's the largest gap between grocery stores and restaurants in about 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
The gap being measured by like where the grocery product where the price of groceries are versus the price of food dining out. Is that what they're saying? That gap?
that's right. That's right.
Got it.
So even though grocery prices are going up, restaurant prices are going up, the gap between them is still so you're paying more just even if you cook it yourself, and you're paying exorbitantly more if you don't cook it yourself.
Hmm. Again, it's because it's business, right? I'm close to the food business, and food is getting more expensive, so labor is up a little bit, and right, you still got to make margins and make profit, and you got your fixed costs and electricity to run the restaurant, and there's a lot that comes into it. So yeah, you might see a $20 burger on a menu if you don't already see it. I mean,
Might,
SoCal. Yeah, I know. I was
might.
gonna say SoCal. You already got that, but
Oh
you might
yeah,
see it. You might
23,
see it.
24.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might see a 35 dollar burger coming up really soon, just because again we gotta get the food from somewhere, and prices of everything are going up. So is it worth eating out? Is it? Can't use the grandma thing there.
But grandma's tired of cooking. But that might be one of the places people are trying to cut back. But I also know it's a pretty difficult place for people to try to cut back
Yeah.
because it's been programmed into us. It's how we celebrate. It's how
Mm,
we relax. It's how we bring people together. It's how we do so many. It's how we experience our new environment.
mm,
People take trips to go eat,
mhm.
right? So it's a very big part of of how we live life here in America. It's around food and alcohol.
You've talked about this before, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
when you take those two, I think we talked about this when we talked about fasting.
yeah.
Like if you take those two things out, right? If you're doing one of a solid food vacation, and then we're also fasting alcohol, obviously, and all these things. How do we celebrate? Like everything socially is around food and drinking. So it's like, what can you do after that? But it's true. It's ingrained in our society.
It's tough, man. It's tough. As you know, I'm on a year of fasting those
Hmm.
things, and yeah, celebrating is you learn different ways
Mm.
to 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 not to almost fake that you are one of them. All right, or to don't worry, guys, I got a sparkling drink in my hand. If I don't say anything, you're gonna think it's alcohol.
Right.
Just done. It's worse, guys. If you're gonna do this, my biggest tip is just pretend. It's
Mm.
actually harder to try to explain than to just pretend.
Right.
And
That's
people are
actually
less threatened.
that's wise advice. That's wise advice for anybody that's fasting these social norms, these alcohol, weed, whatever it's going to be, partying, whatever it's going to be, some food. Just don't try to explain it. Just blend in. Just don't
Blend
eat
in.
it. Yeah, just blend in.
Blend in.
That's all.
Oh
bro,
man.
bro,
So
by the way, sidebar, you got to give like your story, testimony, journey at the end of this year of like what you saw, how it went,
oh yeah.
all
Let's
of
put
that.
it on an episode.
Yeah, for sure. I
Let's
mean,
put an episode. That's a good call.
we'll be in episode, we'll be past episode 101, most likely.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's throw that in there because that is gonna. I think people will really be able to um, learn something from it. And in all honesty, man, just want to celebrate you on that episode because that's a big deal. Most people can't fast anything for fucking a week, right? Like, you fast stuff for a year. I think that deserves your own show, right, to talk about. So
Much appreciated, man. And as we mentioned, that's a great note to end on. As we mentioned that, I am on day 300.
let's go. 300. Let's go. 65 more
300.
days. 65.
Yes, sir. Look at
That's
that.
that's
God's
crazy.
good.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome. That's awesome, bro.
300. Who would do? Hey, it was meant to be today. It was meant to be.
Absolutely.
Guys, you know, I think this has been a great episode, man. Just highlighting just what's happening. And what we want to know is how is that affecting your decisions?
Yeah.
Was this something you noticed already and you've already started making decisions? Or are you continuing to spend money you don't have? Or maybe you have the money and you're spending it, or maybe you have the money and you're choosing not to. I'll be curious to know how has this changed, or how will it change the decisions that you're making as we approach the holiday season? Thanksgiving is coming up. Christmas is coming up, New Year's is coming up, Valentine's Day is coming up. Oh Lord, I'm in trouble, right? So how are you adjusting?
Hmm.
We would love to know, how are you adjusting for your health? How are you adjusting for your pockets?
Hmm.
And is there some tips that you've maybe implemented that may help somebody else who's trying to figure this stuff out, especially within a family context? Because sometimes the family is not on the same page as the person that is most aware of the budget,
Mm.
or the person that's most aware of the health consequences of some of those things. So we definitely want to hear from you. Let us know, Ash. Let's make sure we get some polls out around this. We can get multiple polls out. Make sure you look for that. I know there are polls on YouTube Shorts. There are polls on LinkedIn. There are polls on Instagram, TikTok. And then the last thing we have for you here is make sure you connect with us on Facebook group, and that's where we're going to be dropping gems,
That's right. That's right.
free gems. And the cost of
Jewelry.
that jewelry is just being part of the group here in the community as we drop stuff in there, exclusive things in there for you. Easy. Link is at the bottom there.
That's right. bit.ly/TGL Connect. That gets you straight to the Facebook group. Again, bit.ly/TGL Connect. That allows you to connect with us here on The Good Life. Dive into that Facebook group because, again, we want to be able to drop these gems for our community. We know some of you have been following along on the journey, and we want to get you even closer, get you access to us, answer more of your questions, give you more, specific help that you might be looking for. And we're going to do all that inside the Facebook group. So link with us over there. Connect with us over there, guys.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys for joining us for another episode of The Good Life. We're coming in, bringing fire next week as well. Excited for that episode. And until next time, peace.
Later, guys.